Hello and welcome back to Paprykarz Open 5, the RPTQ weekend. We have an RPTQ team unified top 8 right now. So the teams who qualified are, I'll just say the names of captains because the first players on the list which I have. So that's Bartkowiak, Górniak, Ksandr, Zahorczak, Olewiński, Świerk, Remiga and Shiliro. So we will cover as many matches as possible without the need to move the players. So what we have seen throughout the 7 rounds of Swiss and among the 92 teams who took part is the absence of mono red decks in the middle seat. The middle seat was usually the control seat in the successful combinations, and the control decks that we've seen were what we expected mostly, because those were blue-white variants. It was either the classic blue-white or the cycling variant. There were not many green-based decks. Instead of them, most teams opted for going with blue-black mid-range strategy and mono red decks. So what we are going to see here is the match between the first seed and the 8th seed. So we're going to see Davide Shiliro and Giovanni Motta and Alessandro Polaporta going against Bartosz Bartkowiak,
Tomasz Krzeponek, tak?
Tomasz Krupanek and
And the last player was Michał Darzyński.
Okay, good. So what I have here are the deck lists. What we have here are the deck lists. So it's going to be blue-white cycling and blue-black mid-range, and also straight-up mono-red. No splashes, just 24 mountains. So the matchups are going to be as follows: control versus control. I see.
Yes, we have Esper Control in seat A for the
but
second team.
that's not a cycling control. That's just Esper control.
Yes, Esper
against
Control.
cycling.
One Scarab God, blue-white base deck. Then we
Okay.
have red-black deck. I think it's more of a mid-range version because there's no Bombat Couriers here.
And
what's the
that's
other deck?
That's going against blue and black mid-range.
And the last is green-white aggro deck with
Wow,
a lot of
that's
angels and mana dorks and steel leaf champion. There's even some green belt rampager here.
Okay,
So that's a deck I did not see throughout the weekend.
I did not see that as well. And what it's going to the deck that it's going to test it is mono red.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes. So okay, so if our players are ready, then we are ready as well, and we can start our top 8 plays. Top 8 part of the tournament.
So again, the first table we will have
Control mirror.
control mirror. The second table is 2 mid-range decks, red-black against the blue-black, and the last one is green-white against mono-red, which I think I heard that this green-white deck is quite favorite against the mono-red.
So which one do we want to watch?
I don't know. I just go with whatever. That's not control mirror.
Okay, so yeah, let's go with table C. Let's see how this green-white deck fares up against mono-red. Because I agree, playing control mirrors can get pretty intimidating, and
I like control mirrors game 2 and game 3 after sideboarding, but game 1 is usually pretty awkward because there's so many dead cards. Here we will see, the fresh green-white deck,
or at least fresh for us.
and it will face the established best deck in the format in mono red. So let's see if Michał can
Beat Alessandro.
Yes. Okay, so the players are resolving mulligans, or maybe No, they just shuffle up now. Looking at the green-white deck, it has a lot of main deck cards, great against red. There's 2 harvesters, some
Build rampagers, those are difficult to deal with because there are 3-4 bodies. Of course, there should be some. Are there any Thrashing Brontodons? Yes, there are Thrashing Brontodons. Those can even deal with Chain Whirler by just efficiently blocking it. So this list looks pretty favored against straight up mono red strategy.
Yes, it looks pretty good, but you know, mono red, it preys on the weaker draws of opponents. So can this deck hold up? We will see here in the top 8 of regional PTQ.
I think I like the green-white aggro chances. So we'll see. We'll see.
I will. My take will be after we know who's on the play.
Okay.
Okay, I see one player already has his hand on the table, or is it his deck? No.
No. Now they're drawing their starting sevens.
Are you excited?
And again, this tournament will stop after the semifinals, right?
Yes. The
2
top
teams.
qualify for the Pro Tour 25th anniversary in Minneapolis. And those players are going to receive lots of prizes, including apart from the invitation, they are going to get the flight, of course, and as well they are going to get lots of gadgets from Ultimate Guard, our main sponsor, some sweet coupons for Magic Card Market, also one of our sponsors. All right, pretty standard start for both these decks. Turn 1 Llanowar Elf into turn 1 turn 1 Soulscar Mage as a counterpart. I think, oh yeah, Thrashing Brontodon turn 2, and I would feel pretty comfortable being in the green deck pilot's seat.
So both players looks like they have solid draws. Nobody's stumbling in the early phase of the game. Let's see, Michał now knows that probably turn 3 is the turn that he's going to be able to use that Llanowar Elves last time.
For the last time, yes.
So let's see what he's going to develop to the board with 4 mana. Oh no, only 3 mana because of the tap land.
So there's that Servant of the Conduit, adding 2 energy counters to Michał's energy reserve.
So this deck Michał is playing is basically green-based aggro deck with the Steel Leaf champion, but he's splashing. We saw this deck splashing black for the
White.
Black for the scavenger or blue for the commit memory.
Oh, yeah.
He's just he has some white cards. It's Shalai,
Voice of Plenty, and Cast Out.
and Cast Out, because it's not the green-white Angels deck. Michał is not running any Lyra.
Nope.
He has two Lyras in the sideboard, and so Angel of Sanctions. But it's not like Angels is his main plan. He wants to beat down with his Steel Leaf champions.
So Thrashing Brontodon could easily get through the defenses of Alessandro Laporta.
And this is a huge turn for Alessandro with both Chainwheeler and the Mage
being on the table. As you can see, the triggered ability of Goblin Chainwhirler, dealing 1 point of damage to everything that Michał controls and himself, has changed into put -1/-1 counters on everything because of that text on Soulscar Mage.
Yeah, I see 1, 2, 3 from Alessandro. I think he has a land and the Phoenix in hand, so he has pretty much the perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 curve. And let's see if Michał can fight against it. So now the biggest threat in Michał's deck is the green Gear Hulk.
Hmm.
I think that's the card he would like to play now.
And I think we might even see it.
Okay.
There it is.
Again, no Lyra, so that's the biggest threat main deck that Michał can develop.
Two counters here. And two counters. So it's +1.
And again, look at this deck, the mono red deck. It's turn 3, and you're facing so much pressure. Michał has the turn 4 Gear Hulk, and still it's not that great.
It is not, but I mean, it's not the situation is not dire as well, because most decks facing this 1, 2, 3 punch from red deck they just fold, and here we have had this deck has had a lot of time to set up this board, to set up a presence. Moreover, he even managed to utilize the Llanowar Elf that he had the opportunity to cast turn 1. So, I mean, I like this green-white deck.
And Michał is going aggressive. He doesn't want to hold back his Brontodon. He wants to attack for 4 and start the race. Now he has a 6/6 blocker. Let's see, because with Soulscar Mage and with Chain Wheeler,
Blocks can get tricky.
yeah, and all the creatures can shrink very fast.
This is why Shalai, Voice of Plenty, is a key piece to this puzzle, because creatures themselves, even with a lot of counters, they are vulnerable to removal spells. When they cannot be targeted by removal spells, that's when they start becoming really threatening.
And Alessandro is just saying, show me what you got. You want to race? I want to race. I'm playing mono red.
Yeah, this attack screams to me, just, yeah, sure, I don't care.
Now Michał is thinking, I have a 6/6, but if I block Chain Wheeler, which is the biggest threat on the board, if my opponent has Lightning Strike or an Abrade, my Gear Hulk will take 3 damage and just die to the first strike.
Mhm.
So I think Michał cannot really block the Chain Wheeler.
In my opinion, if he wants to block anything, it should be Ragavan, the 2/1 monkey token. Because if Alessandro wants to shrink that Gear Hulk using the -1/-1 counters, he needs to use 2 cards to do that.
But killing the monkey, it's 2/1, and the Soulscar Mage is 1/2, but you actually get 1 card off the board, and Soulscar Mage has some impact here. The ability to put counters with your burn spells. I don't know. Maybe I think it's between blocking the 1/2 or the 2/1. Michał is going to block the 2/1. Now let's see what's in Alessandro's hand.
I know he has a shock and a lightning strike.
Yeah, he also had the Phoenix, but he's not going to play this one. He just wants to.
A lightning strike, so the Gear Hulk becomes a 3/3. So he's already rewarded for not blocking the Goblin Chain Whirler. He did not fall for that.
Yeah, and I think Alessandro is going for the second burn spell just to finish out the Gear Hulk.
So
Okay.
right now Alessandro's hand is Bomat Courier and a Rekindling Phoenix.
3, 6, 7.
Okay, and there's 2 prowess triggers
Mhm.
with the Soulscar Mage, so this is actually a huge
It's
damage.
a 7 damage.
7. So Michał's life shrinks to 8,
Mhm.
and we have post-combat Bomat Courier.
Alright, Michał untaps.
Do you know if the players know each other's deck lists here?
They don't. As
Okay.
far as I know, they don't. It's not been public information. It's what they learned by themselves. It's what they have. Tomasz Krupanek has picked up his first game playing red-black. It's not really aggro. It's more of a mid-range deck against Giovanni Motto's blue-black control. That's also mid-range. Thank you.
Okay, so what's in Michal's hand right now? He's thinking about this turn for a while. He has a land, and is there a walking No, no, no. Yeah, maybe it's a walking ballista. He has 3 copies in his deck.
Walking Ballista is not very impressive on this board, I must admit.
I mean, it's not awful. He can,
You can always block and shoot.
yes, he can buy himself some time with a 3/3 ballista. That's what he's going for. And now he's calling his Brontolan back. Maybe he's regretting the turn that he attacked for 4.
Yeah.
But he took an aggressive approach, you know. Sometimes,
Sometimes pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
yeah. Oh, there's a Glory Bringer off the top for Alessandro, but he's at 4 mana. Now his hand is a Phoenix and the Glory Bringer, so
2 heavy hitters.
yes. And can he attack into this board? I mean, when Michał is at 8 life, there's really not much bluffing that Alessandro can pull off. Well, if he's going to attack, Michał has to block. So he knows that Michał is going to block the way that he thinks if Alessandro had nothing, he would still attack right into him. Okay,
Of course.
he's going for it. There's the Bombat trigger. And now Michał has to decide how to block this. We know, we have access to Alessandro's hand. We know that his hand is 2 creatures, so there's no tricks going on here. But Michał is in the dark. He has to make a guess, and let's see how he blocks this turn. What do you think? How would you block without knowing Alessandro's hand?
Without knowing his hand, let's see, he's taking. Right now it's an attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, so that's lethal. So you have to block, assuming that there are some lasers on Alessandro's hand. So prowess triggers. Well, I think you're in such dire straits that you really want to deal with that chain whirler, block Bombat courier maybe, and shoot down the Ragavan token, deal with carries a bit later, and settle for like taking 3 or max 6 this turn.
So yeah, so Michał actually, I think he made a perfect block, given what is in Alessandro's hand, right?
Yeah.
He takes care of the chain wheeler and takes minimal damage.
It's also a very conservative line because he could have put this walking ballista in front of Soulscar Mage.
Soulscar Mage, yes. So that was his choice basically, to put it in front of the Bombat or Soulscar Mage. And I guess his thinking was, if my opponent has nothing, I still get 1 creature, and this Soulscar Mage is not a big threat if he has
Yes,
nothing.
not by itself at least.
And he has a swing back, right? He has 8 power on the board with Ballista that can get to lethal pretty quickly. And let's see, what was his draw?
1 and 4, that's 5. 8. Not quite lethal. Because that Servant of the Conduit is a 1/1.
Oh yes, I'm sorry, I thought it was a 3/3 with the Gearhack counter, but it was a
It's
counter.
-1/-1, yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay, so now Michał is pondering, and Alessandro is thinking, is there a land on top of my deck? I have Glory Bringer in my hand. If I hit my 5th land, that's me going to game 2 up 1-0. Okay, and Michał had nothing. Alessandro draws, there's another Phoenix. That's probably as good as
As non-land draws go.
Yeah.
Of course it could have been a burn spell, but still.
Maybe Michał has something. What are the instant speed interactions that Michał can present here? He has access to Cast House, Blossoming Defense, and that's pretty much it. So
yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of any tricks either. I would be pretty surprised if there was like some fight mechanism or any other type of trick. Mainly, the only tricky permanent on the board that you have to take into account while counting damage from these attacks is the walking ballista, because it can start pinging all these creatures. So, given that, I would double block the carry Zev, put a +1/+1 counter on the ballista, get rid of the Soulscar Mage and the Ragavan token. That's pretty much it.
He can.
Oh, he can also block with the Servant of the Conduit, yeah. Forgot about that possibility completely. And he can still shoot down Ragavan. He falls down to 2 and banks on getting something, because those Phoenixes, because we know there are going to be 2, are going to be... I don't know if there is anything that he can pull out, realistically pull off right now, but given the current information, I think it's the best line possible.
Draw 2.
Yes, so I think Michał really needed to top deck this last turn, cast out to take care of the Phoenix and maybe get back into this hand. Instead, he's facing 2 Phoenixes with only 2 points of life left, and there's still that Glory Bringer.
Hmm?
So what was on top of the deck for
I see
green-white
a Hash
player?
of Oasis and the Blossoming Defense. So, unfortunately, I think there is no possibility for Michał to get through with lethal damage. Yeah, and he just scoops them up. And we'll go to the sideboard. And what do we have in the sideboard?
Michał, I see 1 Ixalan's Binding, that's
Draw.
a cool removal spell against the mono red deck. 3 top tier arrests.
It's also okay.
1 Angel of Sanctions, maybe double Lyra,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what's Fleet Wheel Cruiser. Is this a vehicle? The
Yes,
5/3
Wheel
haste?
Cruiser, yes, is a vehicle with haste.
Okay, so this one is not coming.
No.
I'm expecting Lyras and maybe Angel of Sanctions.
Yes, it's good because it's always a 2-for-1.
Top tier arrest and Ixalan's Binding. So
Alright. As far as the
That's all.
Alessandro's sideboard goes, he has a treasure map. I don't believe that he will find its place here. And a Braid. Yeah, I think that should come in because of the Walking Ballista threat and Verdurous Gearhulks. Glory Bringers, sure, you want to attack from the air. Yeah, Glory Bringers are good. Ether Through Harvester can stem the bleeding. After all, this is quite an aggressive deck that can get into some kinds of fast starts. However, you have to respect the possibility of that dying simply to Brontodon. And when I'm playing against mono green, I just assume that there are 4 Brontodons. So this is a questionable choice. Fight with Fire might be a good idea since it's 5 damage spell. It can burn out Steelish Champion. We haven't seen any, but again, I would assume there are some.
I mean, to be fair, Alessandro, maybe he doesn't know what's Michael up to with his green-white deck, because he's probably assuming there's some Lyra in the deck, but there really wasn't any in the main deck.
Tomasz Krupanek has actually won his match
Already.
against Giovanni Motta. Already, yes. 2-0, and therefore, if Michał or Bartek pick up their matches,
Yeah,
their
Michał
team
or
advances to top 4.
Michał or Bartek have to go. One of them has to go
2-0
2-0 now in the
sideboarded
sideboard games to take the match.
Look at that, Knight of Malice. Sideboard technology from
Esper
Bartek Bartkowiak.
Durdle, what's this?
Esper Durdle, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, he durdles around, it's like a durdle around do nothing deck. Maybe that's what they meant. You have the deck list.
Is this the Esper Nice deck?
No, I don't think so, no.
No. Okay, so it's just blue-black control with 3 Teferis
Mm-hmm.
and
Knight of
I guess
Malice.
1 Scarab God. because he wasn't able to find more.
Mm-hmm.
One for Sec the Worthy. That's all white in the main deck. And there's only actually three Knights of Malice in the sideboard.
And again, he's one of those players who prefers to play 61 cards in their deck.
No comment.
No comments on that. No.
Oh, but there's blue-white Side King deck. That
Mhm.
is a very nice deck, I heard.
Yes. Do you have any experience with that deck?
Yeah, actually I played it here.
And how did you do?
I did 5-1, but my team did a little bit worse, so I'm sitting here now.
Okay.
But it's a cool deck, and I like the matchup against the decks like this Esper deck. So I don't know if Bartek can make it with being down 0-1, and now we see the Drake Heaven already in play. And Bartek, I think he only has one out. Oh, he has two outs in his deck. The Forsake, the Worldly.
Mhm.
One in the main deck and one in the sideboard.
Does he play Teferi or not?
Um,
No,
yes.
he doesn't play Teferi.
yeah, he has three
Oh,
Tefaris.
he has 3 Teferis. That's also a reasonable
Yeah, I guess.
thing to use against a resolved Drake Haven. Maybe some cast. No, because the other friend in his team has cast outs. So the thing in Unified Standard is that once you put one card in one deck, your other decks cannot use that card as either. So, and this Knight of Malice is going beat down. I mean, we've already seen this early in the Swiss rounds, where one of the players has actually killed another player with Knight of Graces, with triple Knight of Grace, and that was a control deck. So these uncommon creatures from Dominaria are a really nice addition to round up the sideboard to help those decks change their role a little bit after the sideboard. Okay, a Golden Demise. That's a piece of technology.
Is the card on the left side? Is this a Drake? Is this 2/2 Drake?
I believe
know.
so, yes, because there is the last card in the graveyard is an irrigate farmland, which is a cycling land. So I believe that it's a token.
Okay, so there's another Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Sensor
the-
cycled.
And this Drake Heaven uncontested is a pretty big deal against control decks. We just see 3 free creatures on the board.
But there is this Golden Demise sitting in Arn's hand.
Yeah, they are still free, so it's not a big deal. And David is David is feeling good, going for the race. Now it's 14-10, and he's passing the turn. He has a Teferi in his hand, but there's no rush to cast it now. Oh, we see Bartek.
Aggressive Velasquez Contempt, taking
Bartek
out one of the
using
tokens.
Contempt.
I mean, that was basically just gain 2 life,
Yeah, but
gain 4 life, basically.
he used this. Look, he casts the Velasquez Contempt on one of the tokens when he has the mice in the hand.
I don't know.
It's a close play.
Does he have? He
I
does.
don't know if he
Oh,
wants to
I
catch
know
like
why.
10 tokens.
I know why. He didn't have the City's Blessing. It would have caught his creature as well.
Yeah, but he had
Now-
9 permanents.
No, he had 9.
Yeah, so a land of the top would mean you can cast it with City's Blessing.
Now he can, but
Yeah, obviously he didn't know, but it's still an aggressive play to just
Mhm.
Velasquez Contempt a token when you have
of course
Ghastly
it's
Demise.
aggressive.
with 9 permanents. And I mean, he had his reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has
Teferi in his
Teferi.
hand.
But still, Teferi is pretty weak against the cycling tokens. They're going wide a little bit, so he needs to cast Teferi, clean the board, and hope that David cannot respond with a bigger play. And we know that David is sitting on his own Teferi.
And these decks do not play so many counter spells. It's mainly just 4 countervailing winds, 4 sensors in his list, and that's all. That's all for the.
There's 3 negates in the sideboard.
In the sideboard.
Maybe there's
oh
some,
yeah.
Maybe there's some Gearhawks. Oh no. Actually, there's no Gearhawks in the cycling list. So now it's a big turn for Bartek. He has a lot of options.
He attacks for 3 with the Knight of
Oh,
Mana.
I know what he's thinking about, because he's at a 9 mana.
Oh,
so
he's not attacking for 3. He's attacking for just 2.
I'm sorry, yeah, attacking for 2. I'm just assuming that it's 3-2 all the
yeah,
time.
always. And now he casts Golden Demise, killing off the.
Okay, so the tokens go away.
Now it would be a good spot to resolve it Fairy, because it can survive at least 1 turn. I mean, I would assume it would survive at least 1 turn.
Yeah,
Okay.
but here's the problem. There's another wave of 3 tokens coming from David.
Alright, so do you think David is going to still going to raise in this spot? Oh, with Sorcerer's Spyless.
So now he's gonna have the perfect information, and he knows there's okay, because there's Syncopate in Bartek's hand, which is a pretty bad card in the late game, and Bartek wants to conceal as much information as he can. Because this Spyglass on its own, you know, it turns down Bartek's Teferi, but it also turns down David's Teferi.
Yes, it's a double-edged sword, of course.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be a big deal, but Bartek, I think he wants to conceal the information and maybe hope he can stick. Maybe he's hoping to have a counter war now over this Spyglass, win it somehow, and resolve his Teferi. Okay, so now if this disallow resolves, okay, never mind. There's the
countervailing winds.
Yes. And now Bartek has
for
3 mana.
For those who don't know countervailing winds, because that's a possibility, it says that counter a target spell unless your opponent pays X for each card in your graveyard, right? So there's a lot going on in David's graveyard.
Oh, there's a nice play from Bartek. He knows that Syncopate is so bad. He wants to just
Cash it
make
in.
David use up his mana, so now he can resolve his. But the Teferi is gonna be
named by
the.
I mean, he doesn't have to name Teferi. He can name, I don't know, something.
Well, I guess now having the information about Bartek's hand, and that's only Teferi, he would. I take a guess that he's
very likely
Teferi.
to name Teferi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there's a big draw for Bartek. Opponent is tapped out. Let's see. Is this Scarab God?
I think so. Yes, that's a Scarab God.
That's probably the best deck in his deck. The best draw in his deck, right?
Has to be. However, there aren't many targets for the Scarab God. It's just a resilient threat.
Yeah, it's a threat, but it means he can actually raise now.
Okay, let's
Maybe
see.
there's some knights in the graveyard, or maybe there's a random torrential gearhawk. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't followed this game since the beginning.
Oh,
So-
let's see.
Oh yeah, thank you. Oh,
Is there a
great.
gearhawk?
Great.
Nope. I don't think so, but
Thank you, Bartosz. Thank you for showing us there's nothing. Okay, so now when you're when you are in David's seat, do you go for it? Do you race? Do you plan on producing just blockers for the Scarab God and Knight of Malice?
well, last turn when Bartek attacks with the first strike knight,
Mm-hmm.
David can block with 2 drakes, and you know he knew that the only card was the fairy,
Mm-hmm.
so he knows that there's probably no fatal push in Bartek's deck. So did he really top deck Vraska's Contempt or something like this? Maybe he could actually trade for the knight, and that would be a huge blowout because the knight would come back with the Scarab God's ability.
Of
So
course.
that turned out great for David. Okay, Bartek is
Big attack,
attacking,
yes.
and it's a double block.
Mm-hmm. Double jump, yep. Alright, so David takes no damage. Does Bartek have any play?
Well, we know he has the fairy and 1 random card. Now David is going to flip his search for Escanta, and he's gonna search for a cycling card.
Of course, and now that he's added a second Drake Haven to the board, he can pay additional mana and create 2 tokens with each cycling card. So it's going to become increasingly difficult to push through these last points of damage.
I think there's a sensor in David's hand. Now Bartek is going to use his Field of Ruin,
Mm-hmm.
so David is only getting 1
Activation.
activation. Let's see what he can find. Is there a cycling card?
Yes, there is. It's a cast out.
And it's also an answer to the
The Scarab God.
God.
Mm-hmm.
So David is now thinking probably about using it to just
Mm-hmm.
take care of the god.
But first, he's going to search up a land from his deck. Bartek with very nice basic lands. I like the look of those old foils.
And this Scarab god draw was pretty big. And now, I don't know, I think there's Gearhawk. So
Mhm.
I was just going to say that Scarab god and 3 torrential Gearhawks were the big spells that Bartek was probably going forward,
Mhm.
looking forward to draw. And now we see he has it all. Is he attacking? Yeah.
Yes. So, wow, knight goes unchecked. Alright. So David is down to 4. Or is
Well,
he?
David, what changed from the last turn
Oh, he's
time?
2. He's at 2? Something is not right, but...
I don't know, but here's the deal.
Mhm.
He's going to cycle this sensor, making 2 drakes,
Uh-huh.
and
In
that's
response.
lethal.
Mhm.
So Bartek now has to make a decision, and he is playing around a 3 mana counter spell by flashing back Gearhawk right away. Probably he's going to cast the
Vraska's
Vraska's
Contempt.
Contempt on one of the drakes, and now David is not actually presenting lethal.
Because Bartek is on 8 life.
Yes, and being at 2, he has to take care of all the Bartek's creatures.
Mhm.
So it's a tricky spot. and David drew another cycling spell. So that's 2 drakes and potential to chain it into another cycling spell.
Mhm.
Or maybe I didn't see it right. I think it was
He has, I mean,
Illumination
Mhm.
was the card that he drew, but
Davide
maybe
has
I'm
a
wrong.
land, the ferry, an illumination, and something else.
And he's going to cycle
Yep.
it right away, and
Make 2 more
the
tokens.
reason is to, if he hits some sorcery speed card that he would like to develop now, like Search for Ascanta or another Drake Heaven or something like this, he wants to cast it right away on his turn. Because Bartek is, I mean, I don't know if there's much that he can do now.
Mm-hmm. Like a second golden,
He needs
second
to
golden
chain.
device would do something, but
He needs to find. I don't know if after Cyber he has a spell that can take care of white board. You know, 3 creatures at once, like Fumigate or I don't know, Settle the Wreckage. So he's now in a spot when he really needs to chain multiple cycling spells and create an army in one turn, charm block, and swing back for the win.
And it's really painful because, you know, he has enough mana to activate Scarab God as many times basically as he wants, but there are no targets. And with zombies on board, David is only on 2. 2 zombies, upkeep, trigger, bye-bye.
Yeah, that's right, but the attackers are also the problem.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them, and David is in the charm block mode.
Mm-hmm.
So he's looking at the cards, and maybe. I don't know. Is this still David's turn?
I think it is.
And I want to ask, is there an answer to the Spyglass in Bartek's deck? Some. Oh, I have the deck list. Wait.
So, as far as the Spylus goes, Forsake the Worldly, Commit to Memory, that's about it. Oh, but Bartek has a card that can deal with a huge board. Bond's Last Reckoning.
Yeah, but Bartek does not have to deal with a huge board. David has to do it, and we don't know if David has his sweepers after board for the Esper control matchup. Okay, so did he draw another cycling card? Oh yes. Okay, so he was thinking about using it to create tokens and
instead of just turning off some of the attackers.
And he drew Knight of Grace,
which is also a pretty good card.
well, but
especially against Knight of Malice.
Yeah, but if the knights trade, then Bartek can bring them back with
reanimate
the Scarab God. So David isn't really looking. David's plan is not to put any creatures into the graveyard. He just wants to
chump.
He wants to have one turn when he can chump 3 creatures and swing back for 8. And now he is presenting this he's presenting this on the board because he has 6 tokens and 1 knight. That's 7 creatures. He can chump block with 3 of them, and 4 of them can swing back for the win and take down Bartek. So this is a big turn for Bartek now.
Did you see his draw?
No.
It was a second to fairy.
That's not a great draw.
No, it's not.
So now he's just swinging it. He cannot. I don't think he can do anything else.
No, he loses on the crackback.
Yeah, but maybe he's
Davide
hoping.
doesn't know it, but
he's hoping that David makes some kind of a mistake, and maybe blocks to trade. But David knew that it was his only plan. Probably he just sided out all the sweepers. Now
Abandon
he
the
has
sarcophagus, allowing him to play cards from his graveyard.
wow,
And
very
there's the
nice game.
handshake. Alright. So the first two matches are split between the teams. Tomasz taking the match for the Polish team, and Giovanni taking and Alessandro taking the match for the Italian team. Now, it all comes down to this green-white aggro deck against the mono-red deck. Let's see where they are in their games.
So we saw game 1,
Mhm.
but did the players actually go to game 2
I
without
think it's game 3 actually.
because the score on the board on the screen is 1-0.
1-0.
But
Is that
we
updated?
were watching the sulking match for quite a while.
So is that updated or not? Can you give us a sign? Oh, thank you.
So it's 1-1. So
Yep. It's all down to this game.
yeah, and we see Alessandro with the 1-2 punch of Solskjaer Mage and the Kerizev. And now Michał without his Lanovar Elves. Can he match up this mono-red start? Okay, so there was a turn 1
Judge
ra
revision.
Rampager.
Oh, okay.
What's the name?
It's Greenbelt Rampager.
Rampager.
Mhm.
Okay.
Greenbelt Rampager.
So we have a 3-4 on the board, and I mean, oh, Alessandro, I don't think he has a third land.
Oh, that could spell disaster, actually. However, what he does have is a Soulscar Mage, and there is a Goblin Chainwheeler in his hand. And we saw in game 1 how that went down.
Yeah, so Alessandro also has the lightning strike, so he can swing and take care of the Rampager with lightning strike. And now it's all about drawing that third land.
Exactly.
But his hand, he has the Kenra and second copy of Karizev, and there's also Chandra. Okay, what's... Okay,
the play
it
here?
was a monkey. I was thinking what was the card in the black sleeve doing there.
Alright, that's just a 2-1 monkey token.
Alessandro is attacking, now Michał. I mean, pretty much he has to block it, right, and just eat the lightning strike.
I think he does. I think he has to utilize this big bodies really early on.
And it doesn't even matter if which creature is he blocking, because the prowess makes the Soulscar Mage 2-3, so okay. So they...
So basically by forcing the issue here, he's saved himself 5 points of damage. So that's a pretty good trade for 1 mana. So I would be happy if I were Michał for that.
But there's a tap land, and is there another creature? Okay, it's a 2-2.
Servant of the Conduit.
And is there a land? Land now is big.
Yeah, knocking on the deck. No, that's not a land.
It's a
That's another
Soulscar
Mage.
But there's still Kenra, so Michał... I'm sorry, Alessandro
Can
probably...
still push
yeah.
damage through this turn. So that's
that's
3,
6.
4, 5, 6. Yes.
We go down to 9. And now, but now Michał, he's going to that 5 mana. We saw that he has access to Lyra in his hand. Alessandro is a little bit short on mana. Can he just play, slam a land and cast his Lyra?
He has
I
a
think.
tap land.
Oh, he has Lyra in hand, but there's
he
a
has a
tap land. Okay, so it's all about that Lyra. And still, even if he gets to the 5 mana,
And there is a Shall I.
okay, never mind.
Voice of
But
Land.
if he gets to 5 mana, Alessandro has the Soulscar Mage, and Soulscar Mage can still shrink the angel and make it awkward for Michael. So this Lyra is not closing the game by any means, I think.
Yeah, and Alessandro has actually drawn his third land, so he will be able to deploy a Goblin Chain Whirler,
A lot. But don't play the
actually
land.
shrinking down the Shalai, because
Yeah, but
the Goblin Chain Whirler doesn't target. It doesn't care where it whirls.
it still means that Michał can make a block with his angel. And again, same as game 1, he's at 9 life, so he's blocking. He's not playing around anything. He will just block the biggest creature, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect him to block the Kenra here, or maybe the Soulscar Mage, I don't know. But the 2-power creature is game.
And look at extra
Okay,
cheeky Alessandro.
Kenra is...
He concealed the fact that he's drawn the third land, hoping that
Yeah, but it's still only
yeah,
1
it's still
damage,
only
so
one,
he's
one,
actually representing, like, with this attack, he's representing he has another lightning strike, but Michał is in no place to play around it, so he's just blocking the biggest creature, taking some damage. Now he's gonna get some damage from the Chain Wheeler, and his creatures will shrink, but he's going to deploy that Lyra, and his Shalai is going to grow back to 3-4 life drinker
Oh yeah.
from the Lyra's ability. So now I think it's a close game.
The one for you.
Again, let's see what's... Oh, there's the counters from the Chain Wheeler.
Mhm.
And Alessandro is looking at his hand. There's a second copy of Karizev, so a dead card, and 2 4-drops. Chandra, and I think there's a Phoenix. Michał is at 4.
It doesn't look really well for him. When I was talking about this deck earlier, I mentioned that I really liked its chances because on paper it really looked pretty nicely, and since they are in the top 8 and they were number 1 seed overall, I thought that this deck might really be well positioned. But right now, I don't know if this Lyra is going to be enough. I mean, surely it looks really threatening, and it threatens that Michał will bounce back in no time, in a matter of like 2 or 3 turns. But
Okay, and Michał is attacking with his Shalai. He wants to gain life, and also the fact that Shalai is on the battlefield, it means that Lyra is...
hexproof.
Yes, there's hexproof, so he knows that there's nothing bad, bad is going to happen to her this turn, and Alessandro drew his 4th land. So
He has a Chandra in
I
hand.
think actually Michał is in a pretty good spot. Alessandro will have problems with this Lyra with hexproof. I mean, Soulscar Mage is good against Lyra to shrink it down and then make it awkward for the white player, but with Shalai, it's not that easy. Okay, there's the 4th land.
Wanna say Chandra?
So the play is Chandra. That will trigger prowess.
Try to kill this guy.
He will just throw the Chandra minus ability at Shalai, so that
But he
there is no more
still
hexproof.
cannot attack, so
That's
No.
the best
Michał,
to
Michał bought himself a lot of time. He's at 7, and with Lyra that's
this one?
like virtual 12, right?
How
but
is he
he-
at 7? Why?
Excuse me?
Why
He-
is he at 7? He was at 4, right?
Yeah, but Shalai has lifelink, and he swings with it last turn to
Oh,
gain 3
okay,
life.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, because he
Sorry.
knows that nothing can happen
Mhm.
to Lyra, so he
Oh,
had
yeah,
a
sure,
free swing.
I missed the lifelink. So that changes a lot, actually.
Michał
Yeah.
has a lot of cards in his hand. If he has access to blossoming defense, I really like his chances now. If Alessandro goes for some big turn when he wants to take care of the Lyra, but he's actually going aggressive. He wants to take care of the Planeswalker. We don't know what's in Michał's hand. I cannot really see.
But 12 life is a really comfortable cushion to sit.
Maybe there's
sit on.
another Shali. Oh, okay.
Okay,
That
there's
makes
another
that makes sense. And this one is a 4/5.
Mhm.
So Michał knows that he has some room with
Yeah,
his
because it's not easy to get rid of a 5 toughness creature, and with these red decks, that's one of their main weaknesses, basically.
Yeah, it is true, but I don't think it's as much when there's a Soulscar Mage on the battlefield, because if he swings and he shrinks the angel and kills it off, it really works as point removal. So there's a lot going on here, and this Soulscar Mage can still have some value on turn. I don't know if it's. I think it's turn 6. No. Alessandro is attacking with all of it. Okay, so now what's the play
Do
for
you
Michał?
even block?
You have to block.
Why? Why do you have to block?
Why not?
You're at 12. You are hexproof.
I mean, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you don't block, you're dead to some random double burn spell.
You are hexproof.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. That's a good point.
Yeah. Why block? Why even bother blocking?
So maybe it's a mistake. That's a mistake I will do. I would block here.
Okay, I don't say it's a mistake, but it's a risk.
No,
losing
your point was really good. I just completely forgot that
the player
as a
is
player
hexproof as well.
you have hexproof, yeah.
Mhm.
Because throughout the game I was pointing out so much that the creatures are immune to the removal. I forgot the player is immune as well.
Okay. So shall I?
So was it just a straight up bluff from Alessandro with this attack? No,
Might have been.
because he only had the Soulscar Mage.
Well, he dealt 2 damage for
He
the cost of a card.
He had Soulscar Mage, and we knew he had just the second Karizev. I don't know if maybe he did not have the Phoenix, but I thought he had Phoenix in his hand. I was mistaken. That was a mistake on my part. Okay,
Let's see now what Michał does.
so only Karizev.
There is a Haship Oasis, and so I mean I don't think he can kill Alessandro from 17, but maybe there is some crazy combination
5,
of cards
9.
that guarantees him a win this turn. But
Well,
just attacking with Lyra
with
seems
the
pretty
green Gearhulk, he's probably closing the game. But I think this game is over actually right now.
Might be, yeah.
He can swing for 9 lifelink in the air, putting himself back to 19. Still,
Undoing all the work that Mono Red deck has done.
now we know there's some spells in Michał's hand. Let's see.
An Ether Sphere Harvester joins in. Another source of life gain.
There's Chain Wheeler,
Uh-huh.
so he can shrink the team.
Just a little bit, yes.
And now Michał can crew his harvester, but the harvester is gonna get a
Shrunk.
-1
Yep.
counter, but it's probably still worth it.
Of course.
Maybe not.
Combat.
So now, next turn, I guess that Mio can just attack for lethal in the air with using the Hash of Oasis buff.
Oh yes. So he has 4/4 Lyra and 3/4
Shall I?
Shalai. That's 7, that's 10.
Mm-hmm.
2, 4, 4.
Wow, so a nice comeback victory from the
And a
green-white.
concession from Alessandro Laporta. So the Polish team pulls through and makes it to top 4. They are in the semifinals and only one match away from making it to the Pro Tour 25th anniversary in Minneapolis. All right, that was an exciting set of matches. So as we prepare for the winner's interview, we will go on a short break and come back to you in a minute. See you very soon.